Hello everyone, and welcome to AC Spotlight. Today I'm joined by LB, GM, streamer, and all of this creativity and content underneath the amazing name of Hackrecklessly. Welcome, LB.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm really excited. You have been playing so many amazing systems that don't normally get a lot of attention, and I'm really excited to get sort of in the nitty-gritty of that itself. But before I do so, a bit of an icebreaker for you. What's better for a story? A critical failure or a critical success?
Ooh, it depends on the situation. If it is a heavy moment where like if success is really important, that critical success feels really good. But as a GM, the critical failures, I have to say, are just choice. You like there's so many things that you could do with them, especially in other systems than D&D where it's like, okay, you fail, but this happens, or you're, opening yourself up to more danger or damage and stuff like that. So I'd have to say, I think out of the two, the critical failure.
I like that answer. I did have an answer where someone said the natural 20 or the critical success because it's progression. I love natural ones because it's not it could still progress, but it kind of forces reinvention a little bit,
Exactly.
You tried to open a door, you failed. Well, what happened? It's not just you failed, maybe something more. Like how you were saying, maybe it leads into greater danger, which I absolutely love that for storytelling.
Yeah, or something hilarious. Like
Or something
that's always nice too.
Something hilarious, you try to lift the window and accidentally rip your pants, something like that.
Exactly. I do have to say before we get too far into things, I'm sorry everybody about my camera quality. We were having some trouble with it.
Well,
normally I don't look this bad. I'm a lot less yellow than this in real life.
We're blaming tech today. Tech has its own mind. It does everything it wants to do. But no, everyone can see you in perfect glory on your actual channel, Hackrecklessly, which, by the way, the channel itself, you've had this amazing history. I did my homework in streaming and content creation. And from what I can tell, it evolved from two friends sitting and playing Doki Doki Literature Club to now running campaigns, game streaming. Has your approach to content creation changed since 6 years ago?
I mean, it probably should have, but in the sense that there's more that needs to be done now in terms of like short form content and such. We go out to conventions and go have fun doing those sort of things, meeting up with friends. So there's a bit more of like behind the scenes stuff and not just us playing video games. And we've expanded from just streaming 1 day a week to having 3 different shows every week, and that's been really nice. We have a full. It's just me and my best friend, Ren Reckless. And on Thursdays, there's a group of people that get together to do like kind of slap squad stuff, some friend slap games and that sort of thing. And then on Sundays, we do our TTRPGs. So we have a rotated cast of people, and we actually started doing a show called Slap Squad, which is not very it's not very we do it randomly, it seems, because it's me and CG Danny B, who does a lot of indie games, and we kind of just do it when we can, and we have a rotating cast of people who do that. So I think it's just more we started doing horror games because I was a scaredy cat at the time. And Ren thought it'd be hilarious if I had to play horror games and get scared doing it. And now I've learned so much in the time about like how games are made and stuff like that that I still get scared, but I'm definitely not as bad as I was when we first started.
That's incredible. It's such a telltale sign of evolution. Of initially, it's so funny that you have Sunset Sarsaparilla. We'll get into that in a bit, especially because of your Fallout game. But no, it's such an interesting comment of I kind of relate this to like musicians where you're listening to a song and you're enjoying the beat and melody, but the moment you start to pick up a guitar or you start to pick up any instrument, you start to re-listen to that song and go, oh, okay, I see it now. And you start to sort of understand the sort of the behind the scenes, which is really cool. And it's fun that you're finding that kind of yourself in that position where you're understanding the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. No, and I love storytelling. I went to school for writing. I don't do that, but that's what I went to school for. So like, and I worked in the video game industry for a little bit, and just learning about why things are done in certain ways, or like when you're in a game and something happens, and you go, well, am I just screwed now? And it's like, no, the developers wouldn't make that happen. There is something you can be doing here. You just missed something or whatever it is. So I think that's always fun.
Yeah, I mean, maybe without title or with the actual, without kind of like the actual boss ahead of it, you're probably a game tester. You don't know it. You're probably doing all You're like, well, there's an invisible wall, but I know if I do this enough, it'll probably break it.
Yeah. If I jiggle my mouse enough and click in the right times, I can definitely cut through it.
Yeah, exactly. Like you were saying, you are a storyteller. This shows you've run systems like Power Rangers, the RPG, Fallout, the RPG, and surefire systems like Monster of the Week and Death Valley. Was there a lean or reason towards these lesser played systems?
I think so. I did a 1 to 20 campaign that I was a player in. So it took about 3 years for us to get through on Indoor Adventures channel. And I played a lot. Like I started playing D&D in 3.5, like back when I was in middle school. So I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for a long time, but you can't tell every story you want with Dungeons and Dragons. And I have a friend, Greg Leatherman, who does Glitter Hearts and what is it? He's Doma Sky Tamers came out. Like he has a lot of different style games. So we tried a couple of those. And the Mystery Business is the one I couldn't think of. But getting into like Monster of the Week, which I played a long time ago first, which was probably like 5 years ago. Oh yeah. I always start playing the game first before okay, that's not true. I'd like to play the game before I run it, just so I can like get into things. But the simpler games like Powered by the Apocalypse, I love that, and like all the different systems that come with that, because it's easier to like pick up on it when you already kind of know how it goes. Like Year Zero systems, it's easy to go from, one to the other, and you kind of already get it. But yeah, it's been a interesting and long journey to find those smaller games. And doing the Power Rangers game that we did, we actually started playing with Glitter Hearts, and then I was talking to some people about doing the Power Rangers game, the RPG. And we actually ended up doing Teens with Attitude because it felt more in line with what we wanted to do in the, like, it's a crazy 90s, oh no, somebody's falling over because they explode or whatever. So like the more funny, less like crunchy.
The mall's going to close. We've got to stop that.
Exactly. So yeah, it just depends on what kind of stories you want to tell. Like I love doing Monster of the Week horror games. I can like run one of those at the drop of a hat and like understand it and get the characters going for that too. So
it's almost like you were training to do that, especially the horror aspect of it, because like you were mentioning in the beginning, you were not, you were afraid, you self-mentioned scaredy cat, and now you're like, now I'm the one telling the story.
Yeah,
I'm the one bringing the fear. That's really cool.
Exactly.
Is there a system that you've played or were interested in that you are just biting at the nail, waiting to actually showcase it? Is there like a different system that you've been waiting to promote?
I kind of want to try the Godzilla one that just came out. It's very okay. So a small lore fact about me is me and my partner watched all of the Godzilla movies, all 30 some of them last year. There's like
35 of them.
Yes. We watched them all last year. And I know that this system, it's different than like a normal kaiju. It's based on the comics. So it's based on like everyone has like a little kaiju blood in them. They're a hybrid situation, so they're more powerful. But I find it very interesting. They also have I'm also really big into like dice rolling and how it works in the system. That always interests me. And I know that they have like a countdown sort of thing where it's like, what are you going to, like, when you're in a stressful situation, it's like turn-based as opposed to like, okay, you guys have to get through this facility, and then once you get into combat, it's turn-based. So I think that's interesting. I'd like to give it a go.
Nice. No, absolutely. Right now, as I mentioned prior, you are the latest stories in which you are involved in, especially the ones, I mean, I know you're a player. I've seen the series where you have been not behind the GM screen, but for the ones that you are currently running. There is a Kaiju Commandos as well as Fallout 313. Do you mind, especially for the audience who may not be aware of the stories that are being run? Because even Kaiju Commando, I think it had its run, and you're currently like in second season.
Yeah, we just finished our second season a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you mind telling people just sort of so that way they can actually sit down and watch it, but maybe a brief summary of what these stories entail?
Yeah, so my Fallout 313 series I'm a huge Fallout nerd. I know all about the lore. I've only played the fourth one, but I know all the lore. But so there's only a very few like little tidbits about Detroit, and I grew up near Detroit, so I decided to, okay, well, what would happen if Fallout was set in Detroit? So I created the map. Yeah, I went back, and my dad lived in Detroit, like growing up. So like I was like, okay, what are the places that would have been around? Because it's retro futuristic. So the split off is in like the 50s. When the timelines verge. So okay, what was happening in Detroit during that time when the steel mill was really big, all of these sort of things. So I kind of took that and then made it into what it is now, which is the 313. And then there's like little cities in there. There's Motown, which is the big city, which is located in an old factory, a car factory, because there's tons of those out there. But like Cobo Hall and like the downtown where all of the sporting events are, they're all different like areas that most of them are awful and you don't want to go to anyways, but that was just a fun exercise for me. And then I started getting players to go into it, and I've run 2 seasons of that. One was in the 313 and one was in the Lake of Fire, which is the lake to the east of well, it's not a lake anymore. It got evaporated because, sorry, I'll go into this just very briefly.
Sure. Context, it's needed.
I mean, when all the bombs dropped, like, why aren't cities destroyed? So like in New Vegas and Las Vegas, they diverted a lot of the bombs. Some of the cities like protected themselves in different ways. So I said that in Detroit, because they were a big target, they were steel like industry where they were making weapons of war and stuff like that. They had a protection in place and diverted all the bombs to Windsor, which is in Canada, right across the bay. Or right across there's like a little bit connecting them. So that area, and then the Lake St. Clair, which is right next to Detroit, evaporated because of all the radiation. So it's more of a desert than anything now.
You are either, that's incredible lore building. Yeah. That's incredible world building. That's such a geography kind of nerddom sitting into it and going, all right, let's change this lake into a desert. That's so cool.
Yeah. So, and then my Kaiju Commandos, I basically, again, because I've watched all these Kaiju films, I asked my players when we were getting into like, hey, I want to do a Power Rangers thing. It's like, what do you guys want to do as your creatures? Like, are you going to do dinosaurs? Like, there's ninjas. I don't know that much about the actual Power Rangers lore, but I know that they have like, oh, this guy's a frog or whatever. And they were like, what if we did kaiju? And I was like, say less. And I made that. So the whole lore of that, and you find out in the first episodes, it's not a spoiler. I decided to cross Power Rangers with Terminator. So the bad guy came back in time to kill the Kaiju Commandos before they became the Kaiju Commandos. But the aliens who gave the powers to the Commandos also sent someone back. Well, to have them survive to the point where before this like great war happens where the AI takes over, they needed to be very young so that they could survive that long.
That sounds so cool.
It was very fun. So they went through all that. They became the Kaiju Commandos. I had so many cool voice actors do stuff for that. A lot of my friends recorded voices where, because when they connected with the Kaiju and they got their power coins, they had like a scene with them, because I wanted it to be personal and not just like, oh yeah, you can feel this spirit inside you. So I had my friends record these scripts that I wrote that are like, you know, I know I've connected with you in the future. I know your flaws. Get your shit together. Otherwise, you guys are going to fall. And so that was a lot of fun.
That's, I want to table that for a bit just because that's an amazing production drop, is that it's less, it's just not just, there's more than obviously the improv that goes in with tabletop. There's a little bit of like, the production wise in the future of what to add in and plan for that. That's really, really cool. I mean, you yourself, you mentioned before that you were running like 3.5 and everything, or at least you were playing in it.
Yeah.
When it comes to your history with tabletop, did you graduate from a player and then became a GM, or were you just thrown into the GM screen?
Yeah, I played probably until like 2016. I was a player. I didn't think I knew enough, especially with D&D. I didn't know enough to like run a game, and I didn't know how to create a story and stuff like that. And I did try to run a module, and I'm really bad at running modules. I did learn that because like it's hard for me to read ahead, and like I want to change things. So, but I started running games for my friends because they wanted to get into D&D in probably 2016, 2017. And then as I started playing online more, I played new systems, I learned new systems, and as like only a player, it's like you have to be invited to other games, or you have to like beg to be in games or something like that. And I was like, well, if I run games, then I get to tell the story I want to tell, and I get to pick who's in it.
Right. I mean, that leads to my next question so eloquently. Great segue. Is that how, us GMs, we're not an island. We have players underneath us. How do you find your players?
Ooh, I have a wide variety of friends that play TTRPGs that I've met through online playing, in person, all that sort of fun stuff. So I like to pick groups depending on the vibe of the game. Like we are doing, Val, one of my partner, is running a cyberpunk game. And I was trying to figure out what, that's going to be on Sundays again. But I was trying to figure out like who to invite. And they were saying that, it's going to be lighthearted. And I'm like, say less. So I picked some people who I know are going to be goofy, funny, or like either that or hard into the cyberpunk stuff. And I'm very lucky that I have a lot of friends who are like really good actors. And if I want players that are just going to do their own thing, I know exactly who to pick. Like if I don't need to prep that much for the game because I know that they're just going to pop off, then I'm like, okay, these people. Or if I want people to give me like 5-page backstories, the other people. So it really is just the vibe of the game.
Oh, that's great. And then you mentioned before, are obviously part of the production process is that there are moments where you're able to sort of grab people for voiceover work, get some VA going. Is that a normal thing that people would expect or at least see in your games?
Yeah, depending on how much prep time I have for the games, I like, especially with Fallout 313 and the Kaiju Commandos game, I really like putting like in sound cues, finding music that is going to work for it. Having like, I won't have art on screen, but having it for the players to like, okay, visualize this is what the alien looks like. Can someone describe it?
I'm dropping an image in chat. This is what you're looking at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite moments that happened was in the Fallout 313 series. One of the creatures that I created is a honker because there's a lot of geese up north.
Oh my god.
So they're smaller and they have teeth. They have like shark teeth, basically. So you don't want to get caught in a thing. And one of my players was like, oh, my character's deathly afraid of honkers. So there was a moment where they were having a conversation, and I knew that the next thing that was going to happen was going to be a fight with the honkers. So I put up this sound cue that was just like some geese honking in the background, like right at the end of their conversation. And then like my player just went like that. And then this swarm of honkers, like the sound of all of these geese coming in. It's just like, oh my God, it's a whole flock. Get down. It's my favorite thing that's happened.
Geese is such a wild choice. There are some prisons that actually have geese, not dogs.
Yeah.
They are relentless. That's a great animal to have. Like, oh, you didn't think of this, did you? Piranha geese with teeth.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Could you walk me through the process when it comes to setting up? Like, there's a lot of. I'll sort of preference this question a little bit. Is that there's a lot of work that goes behind a lot of actual plays. And I don't think people think about it too much, especially if they've never done it before or if they've never gone into like actual plays or streaming. Audio check, video check. Could you walk me through the process it takes to complete or get ready for one session?
I think for me, I do a lot of my prep like the week before or 2 weeks before. It starts with a skeleton outline. Usually it actually starts with like what's the villain or what's the goal of the game. But for a single session, I usually have a little bit of an outline already to know like, okay, we're going to get from point A to point B today. So what do I need in that, whether it's sound cues, whether it's music, whether it's art, or anything in between. For the first episode, I do Video Ninja, so I set up that and make sure everyone has the links. I make sure that everyone's in the call a half an hour before, so that I can make sure all the cameras are set up. There's overlays, there's, making sure OBS is working and doing what it needs to do, and like transitions and stuff like that. But like, realistically, when I'm sitting down for a game, it's like, okay, did I go to the bathroom? Do I have a drink? Do I, the social media post is always the last thing where I'm like, oh shit, I have to do that. So I put it up.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does take quite a bit of effort, but most of it goes in like way before you sit down, I think, because if you're scrambling when you're sitting down, like, oh crap, what, I have to pull up a stat block or something, you're going to be stressed. The game's not going to go as well. And then your players don't know what's going on. So I think the like week before prep is really big for me.
No, that's valid. And it's also kind of maybe not as talked about, but definitely needs to be sort of reiterated, is that especially for content and any kind of content, I think, TTRPGs specifically, because there's a lot of prep work for storytelling, but any content, and you experienced it because you are a game streamer as well, is that post-production stuff is also a big part of it. You mentioned before, you go to cons and events. Networking is also super important and not like readily talked about a lot, but it's like sometimes you got to find people you like and network them and invite them as guests or be invited and sort of interact with people. It's all part of the name of the game.
Exactly. I think a lot of the times when I'm producing stuff, I'm producing it for my players. Like I know that like having a big audience and having like people watch your stuff is cool and fun, but that's not ever my drive personally. Ren's more into that than I am, but like if I'm creating a TTRPG thing, I'm doing it for my players and the enjoyment of people who are watching. There's not a lot of like downtime or like talking outside of the game while we're playing, and I think that helps.
Right. Yeah.
Keep everybody on track. But yeah, that's mostly it's just like I really want to focus on making it the best for my players and like their characters and how they would interact with everything. So
yeah, I know, I agree. Sometimes if you let the conversation go too far, then all of a sudden it's derailed, and then you're like, well, hold on, we gotta put more focus on this.
Yeah, I do love. There have been people who are like, every time the conversation goes on, like the BBEG gets more health or like whatever. I'm like, when I'm running Fallout, I add, because I get tokens that I get, and I'm just gonna accumulate more if you guys keep talking or keep messing around. So
now when it comes to storytelling with a production side of things, I tend to notice, especially because it's sort of this common trope people talk about, and I'm started leaning away from this concept, but it's still relevant, which is sort of the rule of cool and the rule is written kind of storytelling and GMing style. I've noticed that most people who do content creation like this or actual plays lean more of the sort of the rule of cool for the important reason of you're not just entertaining the table, you're also entertaining the audience.
Yeah.
The people at home. Do you sort of find yourself in that same category?
Yeah, but I think it's more of like, I want my players to have fun. Like, I don't always let them get away with all the shit that they want to get away with. But like, if you think of something cool, like this is kind of a little spoiler, but in the last Kaiju Commandos, they were doing like wrestling moves as they're like in their big kaiju, their mech. And I was like, okay, how are you going to finish this guy off? And then RJ went, okay, what if I pull out a metal chair? And I'm like, okay, if that's what you want to do, that's dope as hell.
Alien technology, no sword needed.
No, exactly. So it's like, I used to be way more strict about like, well, does it make sense, like logically or whatever. And I'm like, as long as it makes, unless you're running a really strict, like, okay, this is cyberpunk, there's no magic, whatever, you can't just like make a potion or, whatever like that. I think it's, as long as, if your players can come up with something cool and you can make it work, then absolutely. Like most of my players aren't gonna break the game. They're in it to have fun, but they're not like, okay, I'm here to screw you over. So
yeah,
I don't really have to worry about that too much.
There's like this etiquette that comes with like being at a table. And the reason why I asked that question, just sort of get a gauge of where your kind of lean is towards, is because regardless of how flexible we can get as GMs, there's always something stable at a table, and usually it's a rule. So my question to you is there a rule at your table that is written in stone?
Well, I mean, I think the only rule is that what I say goes, in terms of like, if I say, hey, that's not going to work, there's no more questioning about it. Like, and because I am so lenient on things, I think that that's never been an issue. Also, I mean, there's always the respect, like making sure that you're respecting people and like talking over each other and stuff like that. And like, if there's any problems, you obviously have like safety tools in place and stuff like that too. So I think beyond like the rules of the game, and I tend to not break the rules too much, as far as like, I don't want to like completely rework the system, because we are playing it for a reason. But I think mostly it's just like etiquette and stuff like that. That's really hard line at my table.
That's incredible. Yeah. Is there a safety tool that you prefer?
I do have a safety checklist that's like very comprehensive, and like it has everything on it.
Oh, like the consent checklist, or
exactly, yeah. Okay. And I think
that's really good.
The one of the people who runs, I'm not going to remember their name right off the top. I haven't talked to them in a while, but that runs the Crit Awards, Ivy. Yes. They gave me one a while back, and I've just been using that honestly at this point. So
shout out to the Crit Awards.
Yeah,
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Elby, for joining me today, and not only sharing your adventures with here on the internet right here, but also the internet at large. Could you tell people where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me at LB Hackemup on Instagram and on Blue Sky. I'm Hackrecklessly on Twitch and on YouTube, where if you follow us and like our stuff, we like to hear you chatting. You know, like I like to know what you think of things, and you can join our community on the Discord if you want, but that, no pressure.
Incredible. Go share the love, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.